from this computer. Share screen. Screen one, share. Okay. All right. Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Stephen Moody, and I'm going to host a bit of a short webinar for people who are thinking about growing their coaching business. And I'm going to share my experiences, what I have recently done, and why I should be useful to people in this regard. I will be, there's a couple of coaches who have suited to dial in. So what we're going to do is we're going to record the session. I'm going to put it up on YouTube, and I'm going to link it onto the Training Peaks forum so people can look at it. And then we'll end the recording, and the guys who are in the room will have a bit of Q&A. Okay. Alrighty. So a bit of info on me. 1 second. Okay. So here's the agenda. I'm going to tell you who I am, and so why you should actually even bother listening to me. I'm going to talk about how do you know if you're ready to go, or reasons to grow. And then I'm going to talk through the 4-step process I have gone recently through that helped me to grow my coaching business by, I've tripled my size of my coaching business, and then I've also increased my revenue by around 20% net. As a result. So hopefully I'll give you some hints and tips to help you achieve the same thing. So the steps will be finding a fit, mainly about the people you bring on board, the team onboarding, key things that you should be aware of and take time doing so you don't fall into any problems. Setting up operations, how you get it all, sort of my smooth processes and things you need to map out. BAU, as I refer to that as business as usual. Once it's all running smoothly, how it should work and what you should monitor. Potential pitfalls, and then open forum Q&A, which is kind of mainly for the guys in the room. Okay, doke. All right. Okay, so who am I? Name is Stephen Moody. I'm a coach based in Dublin, Ireland. I have been racing for 20 years in triathlon marathons. I've been coaching for 15 years or so, 5 years full-time. And I said there was a little brief sort of return to my previous incarnation as a horrible management consultant. I was one of those guys who came in and was paid money to kind of play around spreadsheets, but I had to go back to that during COVID. I'm happy to report COVID was at businesses even better than it was beforehand. And I've managed to grow my business, Smart Endurance Solutions, as I said, to the point where I've recently taken on 2 assistant coaches, or teammates as I like to call them. And we've grown our net revenue by around 25% already this year, and on target to increase that. So doing this a while, I have a lot of experience coaching as a one-man band. I'm new in the working in teamwork, but I've already learned some really good lessons, and hopefully I can share them with you guys. Okay, so how do you know if you're ready to grow, or reasons to grow? Okay, so I broke it down into kind of 3. You want to scale, but you're the bottleneck. You're the person that's holding everything up. Or you want to change focus, and you're a little bit time crunch. There's other projects you want to work on, except they're completely reliant on you to I also like to point out, when I was a management consultant, I was much better at PowerPoint. I apparently have lost all my PowerPoint skills, and PowerPoint is now running away with it. Or the other step is where you're kind of preparing to sell off or hand over the business. So there's plenty of reasons, but it needs to be done for the right, or else you'll end up damaging your brand. And I'll talk a lot about this in terms of brand protection, which is really key. And by the way, as I talk through these steps, I'll tell you what my experience was again. So you gain a little bit from the things I did well, things I did wrong, and you can hopefully avoid them. For me, I was definitely the bottleneck. I was, as I said, I typically limit myself to 10 to 15 one-to-one athletes in a year, because I'm kind of very hands-on. I review everyone's sessions. I have a lot of communication, but I suddenly, and I was coming to the point where a lot of people were coming to me, and I wasn't marketing for one-to-one coaching because I was full, but people were going, okay, I saw your athlete went to Kona, I saw your athlete did this or completed their first marathon. Can you coach me? So I was in a situation where I was having to say no, and I didn't like that. But so initially what I was doing was there were some coaches I trusted that I went, okay, listen, I've got a pipeline of people are coming to me and I don't want to just say no. But what I'd like to do is if I ping you on and you sign, then we'll agree a referral fee. So that worked out quite well. But then I was sort of going long term. I thought, okay, I'm losing ongoing cash flow, and B, I'm still doing the same stuff as and there's other projects, and I kind of fell a little bit into there's other projects I wanted to do. I wanted to grow my YouTube channel. I wanted to grow sort of my subscription based service, but I was so tied up with the 15 athletes. I went and I just couldn't. So I think, okay, I need to grow. I need to kind of actually take people on board. Ooh, and by the way, speaking of YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe when you do like this. It's Coach Steve Moody. I am trying to get more subscribers. Tim, how are you? How are things?
I'm good. Sorry, I was stuck in another waiting room for some reason.
Okay, sorry about that. I think, yeah, there was a bit of a strange one. Okay, so just a little bit of a little small interruption from our broadcast. What I've explained to the gang is I'm recording this at the moment, and my plan is to post this up on Training Peaks and on my YouTube channel as a public video so people can watch it. And as I said, so I hope that's okay. And then we'll go through my short presentation, which will take another 20 minutes, and then we'll have open forum Q&A. We'll stop the recording there, and then it will be just the 6 of us that will kind of have some chats there. Does that sound okay too? Cool. Alrighty. Okay. So we're just going through the reasons. So me, I was the bottleneck.
Sounds good.
I was the problem. So I wanted to grow. So next thing is finding a fit. Now this is key for me in terms of there's lots of people who would want to join your business if it's a successful business or you have a pipeline of athletes. But what you need to be careful is that you take on the right people. And therefore you need to go, who do I want to work with? Will they fit in with my business model? Will they fit in with my culture, my ethos, how you work with your athletes? As I said, I do apologize. My presentation has a life of its own. And if you get this wrong, it can damage you long term. It can dilute your brand. People will sort of go, oh, hang on. I heard that, Smart Endurance Solutions is very hands-on. They're really positive. The guy I got was, curt. He wasn't patient. So you need to have a clear criteria about who you want to check. Other things you need to kind of, in criteria, you need to kind of work out who the people you want to take on board are. Do you want people with a minimum level of qualifications, or do you want people with Training Peaks level 1, 2, Ironman U certification? Is there sort of a level of qualifications that are a minimum entry requirement that you'll work with? Experience. Do you want a coach that's raw in the door, whether they're actively racing or not racing? What's their style? How do they work with people? Do you like these people? Remember, you're gonna have to work on these people, and it's gonna be hard if you pick people that you don't like. It's causing antagonistic. And in this, you've got 3 kind of options. One, you go to the external market. You post up on Training Peaks, you post up an advertisement on a job site. And then you've got the hassle of interviews, kind of criteria, etc. Or use your personal network. Coaches you've worked with, or who are good in the area. And a hybrid is kind of recommendations. Who have you heard is a good coach in your area and you'd like to talk to and reach out to them to collaborate? For me, I was very clear. I want to work on coaches that were hands-on, they're data-driven, actively competing and racing, because I find that's really important for people who I train with, and I like to go with races, and they're a bit of crack. To clarify for anyone, a bit of crack in Ireland is a phrase for fun. It's not the hard drug. It's actually just fun. So I wanted people I was going to enjoy working with, I was going to go to races with, who are going to care about the athletes as much as I do, and do that and be okay to buying into daily feedback, good levels of communication. So for me, I used my personal network. I took 2 choices. One was an athlete who I've actually worked with, who was mad into the science, asking all the questions, kind of like me when I got into this. I went, you know what? He'd be a great guy. I could actually build him up. I can work with him. We can mentor him. Another guy is a coach that I've worked with on a couple of training camps. and he's into his data, he's really on it and all the rest. So these guys tick the box, and I know I can work with them. They're fun. I know they're going to work with so that's how I chose my fit, and it's worked out so well so far. But you need to work out what you want, who you want to work with, and like, are there kind of minimal cutoff points? As in, lots of people want to join you if you've got a good brand. Just make sure that they're the right fit for you. Okay, step 2, team onboarding. Now, first thing we did with when we agreed and I reached out to the 2 kind of teammates, they went, okay, these are things we need to discuss and to agree, which are our common ground. Okay. Sorry, it does this, so I'm gonna have to bump, and then it should sit down. Okay, grant. Stay. Okay, so we sat down in a kind of a workshop fashion, and we said, look, this is us all open the table, and I emphasize open mind here, because yes, I have the brand, yes, I have the people, the pipeline of athletes, but what happens is, but I'm also aware that I'm not an expert in anything, and still should be open to new ideas. So I said, look, this is how I do it. If you've got other ideas and they've got other qualifications and they've got other approaches, let's agree and we can change things round. So, but we went through, and the key thing we deal at what are the roles and responsibilities of the head coach, and the other coaches, in terms of who does marketing, who does, are you just in for one-to-one athletes? How do we communicate, etc. The scope and the boundaries of what you're covering. I have quite a strong training plan catalog, which I make which is quite successful in Training Peaks. That's to the side. As I said, this is a kind of a one-to-one coaching engagement. I also have a subscription-based service, which I said, I want help on this. Who's interested in this? So we had to agree who's going to do what and who was interested in X, Y, and Z. And we mapped that out. We also had to agree on a kind of methodology that we were all on board with. Like, there's standard periodization, there's reverse periodization, there's the 80-20 model, there's all the different stuff you can approach this. So we had to break it down so we will be consistent. And even in terms of what sort of testing protocols were we going to use, because the idea was, once people were in our squad and our kind of little community, that no matter if they were with me, they were with Mark, they were with Anthony, they would have 100% consistency. And this meant that, like, which is one of the things I want to do. If I went on a holiday, that I could go to Mark, by the way, can you keep an eye on athlete A, B, C? They've got a big race coming up, or whatever it is. And then he'll go, okay, cool. I know that these are the zones you're using. I know these are the type of sessions we kind of pick, etc. So consistency for us makes it easy operationally, and it's really consistent for the athlete. Language and style. Again, back to my consultancy days, everyone goes on about tone of voice. Essentially how you deal with someone, what's your, like, and we had to agree with, like, what's our approach, and we'll talk through what we decided on there. The governance and support, again, how often would we meet, how much will we discuss, and IT platforms, how are we going to share information? There's a quick, easy win that we said, look, it's going to go to all through Training Peaks. We have a Dropbox account. We share common documents, templates. We've got we have weekly meetings, etc. All designed to make sure that we're all in alignment, and we're all. And if anyone needs to pick up the slack from them, we've got that covered. Capacity and how to track is really important, because the guys were new, and some of them some people were bringing existing athletes with them. But we had to go, look, I've got a pipeline of X, Y, Z. How many guys do you want to have? And went, okay. And we agreed that there was a certain number we'd start off with, and we'd review it after a couple of months. And as I said, if it was going well, we'd ramp up. But we also need to have, that was one of our weekly discussion points. All right, because these are the guys, I'm full-time. The other guys are kind of have other jobs. So this is part-time. I said, look, don't get overwhelmed with it. There's a lot of learning. So make sure that we've agreed what you have to do. It will take time, and this is what it takes me wise, but don't take on 10 people if you're going to do a piss poor job. What you need to do is take on a small amount of people, find out what the kind of your rhythm, your process, etc., and I'll help you with that. And then if you can ramp up, you can ramp up. Remuneration, how is that going to work? Obviously, a topic, and you need to figure out that a very simple system, a very clear system, that so there's no kind of hang on, what, how do I get that, or how does that work? I brought this athlete in, what does that mean? And we came up with a simple kind of matrice on that. And 100% transparency on what costs I incur in terms of like the insurance or the Training Peaks premium subscription, yada yada. Like each week we discuss that. It's a simple spreadsheet. There you go, lads. There's the numbers. I'm not hiding anything. You know exactly how much I'm making on this margin wise, and you know what I do for that. And does anyone need problems? No. Again, and if there is, we change. I don't want. I think one of the key things we try to do is it's not an employer-employee relationship, because I don't want that. These are my teammates. When we're working together, the more the company grows, the more they grow. But it's not if you sort of go, right, I'm paying you X amount and I expect you to bring in that. Keep it really simple. I'll talk about that in a little bit later. Insurance, a very big key, is, and you got to make sure you're covered. Certain requirements to get lined up and make sure that everyone's covered. Okay, so what does that mean for our team? We created documents and templates. Again, well, I had a lot of them already and I shared. So we've a roles and responsibility matrix. For example, I'm 100% responsible for marketing. One of the guys, the two kind of teammates that are now, they are responsible for the one-to-one coaching, really. And we kept it that simple. I have a couple of interns doing some of the other kind of admin stuff and some of the social media. But it's very clear that I do the marketing, I do the payment comes through me. I kind of like it. So it's 100% crystallized that they know that they don't have to chase their athletes for money. I do that sort of stuff and I bring it all in, and then I divvy it up afterwards. Very clear, very simple, no bones of contention. I had a MOU, memo of understanding, about just outlining the scope. As I said, look, training plans are my baby, one-to-one coaching are all our baby, the subscription-based models, myself and Mark, and also with an open mind that if things really take off, we can work on sort of how they can get more integrated into the training plan sales, etc. So, but clear delineation of scope, etc. We agreed on a common methodology, and we used a core coach athlete contract that outlines our communication protocol, kind of what the athlete's responsibilities are, the coach's responsibilities are, and it's very, very clear. It's very, and it's always consistent. We use the exact same template. We just add in, we tweak details to reflect the athlete. Testing protocols, we're clear on that. Language guidelines, supportive, encouraging, positive. We're never overly critical. We try to find a solution with the athlete. And again, the guys were like that anyhow. So I didn't teach them. Said, look, just be yourself. Just as in, but you know, try to get the best out of people. These are time crunch athletes. We don't come down hard. Governance support. We have shared session folder. Oh, this is, yeah, we got set up on TP as Training Peaks. As me as the kind of the main coach, the two assistant coaches linked into me. We've weekly team meetings, we've shared session folders, we have Dropbox, etc. Capacity, we agreed that we'd start off with 3 athletes each that came from my pipeline. One of the other coaches actually brought us some of his own athletes, so he needed to manage that into his workload. And then, but that's going well. We've actually already doubled those numbers, so we're good. Remuneration, we had to have a different. It's a simple enough a matrix, but it's essentially for the monthly fee that comes in, I take a cut depending on the type of athlete and the price point that they came in on, and then it's and that's the table we work off. And then if they bring their own athlete in, there's a different price cut. But if the athlete came from my pipeline because of my marketing, there's a set cut, which we agreed, and and it's a very easy kind of conversation, because we went, look, You're going to give me 3 athletes off the top of the mat. Super. You're going to help me with my shared folders. Cool. I'll have access to your sessions. Super. Always have to remember about what the value they're getting out of it. Okay, cool. That's the team onboarding and some key things there. Setting up operations, creating the assistant coach accounts and Training Peaks. That was dead easy. Tim helped me out with that. Tim Robinson. Mapping the athletes to coaches, that comes in via me as the kind of the head coach. And I was it. Oops. Okay, 1 and 2. We'll just get it to stay. They come in, the athletes are linked to your the main coach account in terms of the main dashboard, and then I assign it to Anthony or Mark, yada yada. Simple enough. We weekly schedule Zoom calls, or that we actually have when we try to meet up for spins together and all the rest, like as in we're a little bit geographically dispersed, but like we go on training camps together, we go on to races together, and we just sort of manage to catch up whenever. We have share folders, and with Training Peaks is a cool thing there. You can share folders, and therefore we have a very clear naming convention on these are whatever build, bike sessions by power. And now that they're shared with one another, if I add in a session and Mark adds in a session, they're all there. Everyone can see them, and they sync up that way, which is kind of cool. I didn't realize that happened beforehand. We also had agreed a kickoff meeting with the athletes, because some of the athletes I was working with were going to be reassigned to a new coach. That was a little bit of a new item I had to deal with, and it was kind of a little bit of it because they'd heard about my coaching style, they'd heard about my coaching brand, and they went, I'm going to go with Coach Steve. And I went, okay, but listen, I'm full to capacity, but I have Anthony here, I have Mark here. And they're like, oh, but like, will I get, and said, well, and this is where the consistent methodology comes. Look, they're going to use our same methodology. Myself and the guys meet every week. We review all the athletes. We have our conversation. We discuss things. We bring new ideas. You're not only getting a coach, you are getting 3 coaches. You are getting a really cool methodology. You're getting, and I guarantee you'll get the feedback like you've heard that like on the daily basis. You'll get access to us via WhatsApp. You'll get a chance to meet with us when we're doing a race, yada, yada. So while initially it was a kind of a, oh no, but it was an easy sell because you're changing the value proposition to the athlete. It's not only you get 3 for the price of 1. Awesome. Okay. Next up, and this is by the way an example of kind of what we had the slide we had with our kickoff meeting. We had a 20-minute Zoom and we had everyone dial in. Said we introduced the coaches. This is our methodology. This is what we're doing differently, and this is why you benefit. All about the value, and everyone's delighted. And we talk a little bit about that more. BAU, and again, apologies. This is my my consultancy language come through. BAU is business as usual, essentially how it works. We have, as I said, the governance. We have our weekly meetings, and we go. It's more of a brainstorming session. We kind of go through. Look, I'm having a problem with this athlete. He's not doing his sessions. He's low motivation. We go, okay, well, have you thought about this, and everyone brings something different to the table, and we end up coming to a solution around it. We also get into some of the data stuff. Let's well, look at what's his TSS gone bananas, and went, hang on, have you checked his threshold pace? And went, okay, cool, because some of the guys are new to Training Peaks, so I have a lot of experience there, and then we're able to help problem solve there. Remuneration, as I said, one of my roles and responsibilities in my little matrix is I take care of the money. So I get paid. The athletes all pay me, and they don't see any other kind of elements around that. I then divvy that up per our matrix and our kind of agreed structure, and then I pay the lads at the end of the month. As I said, it's a clear timetable what's going on. I share the exact spreadsheet that comes in, and so there's no. And again, that's also back to I don't want it to be an employer-employee relationship, because suddenly that becomes, it can be a bone of contention. Now, these are guys I work with. These are guys I want to be able to grow the business with, and also kind of mentor up. So, like I said, I spend this much on insurance. I spend this much on Training Peaks subscriptions. I pay this much on marketing. That the overall marketing budget, I don't care about that because that's contributing to something else. But this is the amount of money you get out of it. And if we think that we need to change that, we're always open to discussion. The communications we do with the athletes, we've group updates, we WhatsApp groups, group shout outs. Again, I kind of handle most of that, and some of the interns do kind of the social media side of things. So again, it's very clear the guys are getting the benefit of a brand blast of communication, as in, you know, Monday motivations. This is our session for the week. If you haven't got something, la 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 la. So this is how we manage it. We also do performance monitoring. We do not have there's no performance appraisal. It does sound like as if it's that you're it's again a flashback to being a consultant. I didn't want that where you're actually sort of like people going like, well, how did you do and what's your 5-year plan, yada yada yada. It's a case of how are you getting on with the athletes? And I also ask the athletes, as in like, this is what we promised you at the kickoff meeting. Are they delivering? Are you okay with that? And I said, yeah. And then also it will be results based. If the athletes are hitting their goals, the guys are working. I noticed a couple of people dropped off. I hope I'm not boring anyone. But anyhow, I will continue on. Okay, so pitfalls, all right? And again, when I was preparing this, it worked all very smoothly, but now it's all going to bounce in and it's going to do all sort of weird stuff. So I'm just going to drop it down here. Pitfalls. If you get a bad fit of athletes, of coaches, you'll antagonistic, you'll have problems, and you'll damage your brand. Ooh. It'll cost you athletes, it will cost you revenue. So for me, it's take your time with selection. Be clear on who you want to work with and why you want to work with them. And again, there will be people who come to you and you say, no, I don't think you're a good fit. Another option is loss of IP or intellectual property, or your training plan concept, your methodology, your la la la, and all that crack, or creation of a competitor. What if your assistant coach walks away with 2 or 3 athletes? To be very, very honest, this is going to happen. I'm me having this conversation with you and putting this video up at this stage, I'm probably creating competitors, but there's no way we can never really protect that. You're better off going with a collaboration approach than a kind of, oh, I got to protect it all. I got to protect it. So I have a very kind of, I say, look, this is going to happen. And if I'm doing my job and we're working well together, I fully expect in the next 2 to 3 years, you spin off as your own coaching company. You've learned so I'm not worried about that. Because I'll agree with, as in we'll mentor you up, we'll get you skilled up. But if you do, talk to me and we'll help you spin off. And then future will collaboration and training camps. If you've got referrals coming through, I've got it doesn't have to be a zero-sum game, as long as you're kind of increasing the brand, etc. Everyone's a winner. You create the danger of you're creating red tape, extra admin. So suddenly there's more paperwork, there's more meetings, etc., etc. For me, it is down to being clear on the roles and responsibilities, and also identifying what are the non-value add things, as in the admin stuff. You're sort of going, if there's something that's not really interesting to yourself, like I have a load of kickoff emails that go out when I make a training plan sale. The interns do that. Like that's just like there's no real high level of complexity on that, so you can outsource that. The meetings for me, I actually think I'm really enjoying them. I was a one-man show and I was going through data each night and going and that was very boring. But now I have we have these conversations. You kind of actually never even thought about that. That's kind of cool. It's kind of almost invigorated me. The paperwork, yes, there's the stuff there that needs to be done a little bit extra. Most of it's just a slightly additional stuff that I had to do anyhow, collecting payments from athletes, making sure everyone's filled out their medical forms, yada, yada. But now I'm just getting a bit more revenue out of it. So in summary, friend, thank you for the people who have watched the video, who dialed in. And by the way, please do subscribe, as I am trying to grow my channel, and I will be doing other videos on coaching business. I think this is something that might be of interest for most people. if you think that you're the bottleneck, if you think that you want to focus on other things, definitely look into it. But put time into mapping out who the right people for you are, mapping out some very kind of high level templates or documents to make it simple. Make sure you're consistent. Always think about how the athlete's going to benefit at the end of the day, because if they do, your brand's protected and you will grow. The word of mouth will improve. As I said, I've taken on 2 teammates. We started off with them having 3 athletes at the start. They're already up to 6, and that is after kind of 4 months of word of mouth. I hear you guys are doing a real good job, la la la. We've doubled the number. We're actually now at that point, like, do we want more, or how do we throttle it back? And as I said, my net impact on my kind of bottom line is my net revenues as a company is now up by 20%, 25%. And that's because I'm also able to focus on other projects that I was tied up with before I couldn't. So I 100% recommend it. And I hope you have a very positive experience. If people want to email me questions, info@SmartEnduranceSolutions. People want to try and collaborate or interested in collaborate, I'm always open for a chat. So for those who have dialed in, I thank you very much. I'm going to now end the video, and then we're going to have a quick Q&A with the guys and gals, and hopefully we'll share more information. Okay, all right. And that, where's my end the video? Stop here. And